Anybody who knows me and has been following me on these pages here at Roots Music Canada has known that I have been raving about this record for a long time already. It's called Mad Mile. It's by Kirsten Jones. It had a very brief incarnation in the past, and we'll explain why that incarnation was and why it no longer is. But so this is it, and it is being released. There are a series of concerts. Is it fair to say a series of concerts?
Oh, there'll be a series of concerts.
Okay.
Yes.
I haven't introduced you yet. Will you pipe out of my introduction? Thank you. Anyway, Kirsten Jones is here to talk about this remarkable record called Mad Mile. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What a journey.
Oh, yes. A long one.
It's been more than a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Many, many miles.
You're originally from the States.
I am from Virginia, born and raised.
Where in Virginia?
Well, mostly Virginia Beach. Grew up there,
Nice.
high school and all that in Virginia
Was
Beach.
that a cool place to grow up?
Yeah, really cool place. I loved it. I mean, to be near the beach, it was kind of like a surfing kind of culture, and it was a lot of fun. You went to the beach all the time.
But
I miss
you
that.
had to put up with tourists like us.
I never cared about that. I always thought it was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, loved it.
And then you came up for the sunshine and warmth. You came to Canada.
Yeah. Well, I have dual citizenship thanks to my dad, who's Canadian, and so full-fledged Canadian. And I've been living here since after university, which is a few years now.
Yeah?
Yeah, just a few.
Just a few. Secret safe with me, folks.
Yeah, good.
Well, I've known you for a while,
Yes.
so I've known some of the thinking that's gone on behind this record. And then one day I heard that you scored Gary Lewis to produce it, Gary from the Jayhawks.
I literally just looked them up online, sent them the demos and stuff, and followed up with a couple of lame emails, hey, did you get my package? And really, I just knew I had to hear from him before I went on to any other
Now,
producers,
why
because it was
him?
my dream.
What was it about?
He's one of my favorite songwriters of all time. He's worked with, I mean, as far as songwriting, he's worked with the Dixie Chicks, Kelly Willis. He's worked with, singing with Lucinda Williams. He's done everything with the Jayhawks. And producing, I just thought, with all of that experience and all of the people he's worked with, we have to have the same musical sensibilities. And
So when he heard your demos, there must have been something that tweaked. Did he ever comment to you what it might have been that lured him up here?
Lord Lewis.
Yes.
Well, he said to me that it was the songwriting, and he said my voice. He said he wanted to work with someone who could sing. He didn't have to delve into that too much.
Yeah.
So I guess for him, he heard that, and he liked my songs. So that's what did it. I'm thrilled to say.
and I've been hearing this material for a while in different incarnations, and I can honestly say that he had marginal influence in terms of the actual song itself.
Sure.
I'm not talking about the sound or the people that you use or the instrumentation.
Yeah.
But as far as the actual songs are concerned, he pretty much left them the way that you wrote them.
He did. I think he was surprised by that himself. He came in, he said he was going to be really hard on me about the songs. And then I think the only one I would say changed in any major way was Hold Me Closer. But other than that, he made some little tweaks here and there, and then he even made some tweaks and we went back to the original. So I think that was more the case of, I'd been playing those songs live already for 4 or 5 years before we got to the album. So maybe we'd worked out some of the kinks. And
You did.
Yeah, so that might have been what happened there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that song, Hold Me Closer, that features the one and only Mr. Jim Cuddy on a duet and also on a backing vocal.
Oh, Susanna was another person who I really admire and wanted to work with. And well, when she was in the studio doing that, she wanted to hear some of the tracks from the album, and she heard Hold Me Closer and said, you know what would sound really good on that? Jim Cuddy. And I said, yeah.
Sure.
He sure
Paul
would.
McCartney's booked.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. But it got the ball rolling, and the fact that Bobby Egan from Blue Rodeo also played on the album, there were a few connections. Gary Lewis worked with the Sadies, also on their management. It's kind of a little, alt country's a small community in some ways, you know.
Well, and that brings up alt country in Toronto. This is not a country town.
No.
This ain't Nashville.
No.
So what's your feeling about marketing this record in Toronto, even in Canada for that matter?
Well, I think there is an alt country scene in Canada, and people call it roots, people call it Americana, we call it Canadiana, whatever. But I looked at the International Songwriting Contest that goes on every year, competition, and there's always Canadians in the Americana finals, always. And I'm thinking, we've got this great community up here that doesn't quite maybe define itself as alt country, because we're so in between the folky and country and back and forth. And but I want to be part of making Canada or Toronto more of a home for that. Because, you know, like I said, a lot of our best people, we were talking about this the other day, go to Nashville, and why don't we, as songwriters, stay here and just create that community here? I'd love that. I'd love to be part of that.
The other thing the other reason why I flashed this little record over here, this was basically a pre-final record, was because it was submitted to the Junos and received a Juno nomination. Now this is the past Junos, of course, the ones that just passed in April. What was the nomination? It
was for our wonderful engineer, Dennis Tugis, who was nominated for this album.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was funny as the strategy. I thought, well, I'm going to get it out on iTunes so we can be eligible for the Junos just in case. And the wonderful thing is we're eligible next year still, just not in that category.
Well, congratulations, Kirsten.
Thanks.
I think this is a monumental year for you.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing where this little rowboat takes you.
Me too.
Yeah.